Okay, nice. Okay, so the topic of today that I chose for is artificial wisdom and for alignment. I have talked about this topic previously also, like last year in the Vaisu, but it was very terrible and not very good enough. So this time I made a proper presentation to talk about it. Artificial wisdom is a very new field. I don't even know if I can call it a field at this moment, because there are around like countable number of papers in the topic of actual artificial wisdom. I myself have found around 10 to 12 papers that talk about specifically artificial wisdom, but some are in the ballpark that like talking about virtue ethics, talking about computational ethics, or some kind of ethical system for auto driving vehicles, that kind of thing. But they are not actually artificial wisdom because they don't deal with meta ethics, but they deal with ethics. Artificial wisdom is somewhat about dealing with meta ethical properties of wisdom, of ethics. I have talked about this properly later on. So, okay. Uh, Let me do this. Yeah. Uh, Okay, so first of all, a brief introduction about me. So, who am I to talk about all these things? So, first of all, to define who am I is a very hard philosophical question to answer easily. So, I will not try to do that, but I will talk about some traits of mine that would give you some idea. So, I've been involved into working into AI from last 5 to 6 years, and I'm working into AI safety for 4 to 5 years. And basically, a lot of initial times has been gone into working to explore what I actually want to do. Like initially days, like in the when I past 5 6 years ago, I was just trying to see whether will I fit properly in the AI and which branch of AI will I fit in. But a little later on, I realized that AI safety is something that I would fit more properly into, and mainly because of my interest into philosophy. I have been into speaker in Vaisu last year. I have also done moderation for AI Safety Germany, AI Safety Foundation Germany, and I have also been promoting AI safety in a lot of other events of EAGX, of going into schools to give talks about it, or going into some events to give talk about AI safety. So that is my involvement with AI safety. I have worked into projects like P3, full name is Peacefully Paired Perspective, that is basically trying to use artificial intelligence methods that we already have currently developed to to align humans' perspective or differences into humans' perspective that can be resolved on a logical and intellectual basis of level. That is again not properly designed, but that's the basic fundamental point of it. GMP is goal misgeneration problem. That is one of the fundamental problems with all of AI evaluation, stemming from Goodhart's law and proxy gaming kind of stuff. So I have worked in that also and given a new kind of look to it, about which I will talk about briefly later on. DSW is my one of the fundamental projects, Data Structure of Wisdom. It is available on my website that you can see in the right hand corner. The website is myspy.versal.app. And the CQ is the project that I'm currently working in, or I have worked good enough amount. That is still in the draft. I have also been trained formally in technology field. Like my studies have been in the technology fields of information engineering, computer science, and all that stuff. But I have informally pursued philosophy for quite a long time, and have done a lot of meditation and introspection things to understand philosophy from a more realization level, rather than just the bookish level kind of stuff. But I have done the bookish level of studies as well recently. Currently, I'm in my bachelor's and planning to do my PhD for more specificity, so that I can properly work on artificial wisdom and I don't have to delve into other things that I'm not really interested into. These 2 points will be specifically useful for the later part of the talk, but I would like to talk about that. So this is the personal thing that I work under the moral relativism concepts, where I consider things being subjective with respect to moral skepticism and being objective with respect to cognitism or moral cognitivism. So this will be useful later on, describing how do I define wisdom and all. My methodology of working is neither strictly top down and neither strictly bottom up. It's more like radiating from the middle. Again, this will be clarified later on. So this will be more than enough amount of details for me. For rest, you can just go to the website, and in the Zany Deal segment, you can get the information about my interest and passion. And in the Who Am I section, you can get details about me and my persona system. And in Wanna Connect section, if you still wanna know more, and if you still want to connect with me. So you can just directly ask about it. I don't think I even need to talk about this thing in this conference, because I think everyone who is attending this is already aware of AI risk and AI problems at this moment. But I just thought to put in for the people who are like living under the rock or something, or who are not aware of the AI problems, or how AI safety is an important thing. So basically, artificial superintelligence is a threat because it is more uh, intelligent than humans, and to understand it properly, we can make analogies with nuclear power or nuclear risk, because we have recently faced that in the past time. By past, I mean around like in around the World War. So nuclear tech was a great victory for humans with respect to a technological point of view, or a growth point of view, or a scientific point of view, because we were able to achieve something very great with respect to science, like working at the levels of atoms and harnessing the energy at that level. So that's a great thing. That is why we have even got a movie like Oppenheimer. But from a governance point of view, and from a human society point of view, that was also a great thing that led to something like Cold War to exist. Because if not nuclear weapons, as far as I know history and politics, I think there will be just wars and not cold wars. Okay. AI has equivalent amount of power and impact, if not more, with respect to nuclear. If nuclear power has 10x amount of impact, I think AI has 20x amount of power. And the reason for the 2x or two times increase in the amount of impact and power is the ability of volition. I don't know if I pronounce like that only, but volition, Volition. Volition, it basically means the ability to make choice or having some kind of decision making ability. So along with being powerful and having impact, AIs can also make choice. That was not the case with nuclear. If like scientists can make nuclear things, but nuclear things cannot auto detonate themselves. They cannot they cannot go and create chaos by themselves. They will have to be done by some humans. Human was the one who has the autonomy in that. Human was the one who has agencies. Then nuclear was at most just a tool. It did not had any chance of becoming an agent. But AI is twice as dangerous as nuclear, because along with being a like powerful and impactful thing, it also has agency. It can also have agency, and it can also take decisions on its own. And the country-based division driven by human cultural group was successful for nuclear deterrence, but won't work for AI. Like, how do we currently have this deterrence among human group of, like, I don't want to call names of country, but different countries have make a deterrence policy that they will not use nuclear power against each other and do all the things, because they have got into some kind of agreement of those things. But that will certainly not work for AI, because again, AI has its own free will at a level. I don't want to get into philosophical debates, but AI has its own volition. It can make its own choices. After a point, AI will not need to take permissions from human to decide what to do and what not to do. Even if two or three or multiple countries can come to a deterrence policy, they can come to a policy that we will not be using AI, then AI can use itself. AI can do chaos by itself. Humans don't need to interfere in that. Both technically and governmental part of AI is similar to nuclear, but additionally, AI is self-sustaining. This is another problem of AI, that nuclear things are need to be made by humans. They cannot be auto-made as well. Like you cannot like nuclear power or nuclear bombs are not emergent quality. They cannot just recreate themselves again because of no agency. But AI is self-sustaining. After a level, AI can create itself, and you have seen the horror sci-fi movies, so I don't need to explain much. And in the end, obviously, the worst case would be AI plus military plus nuclear, as it is shown in the image as well. So AI being influenced by the military tactics somewhat, like imperialism and that kind of things, having some weird ethical systems, and along with that, using nuclear power, because AI themselves won't have that effect with nuclear things, because they are not carbon based like us, or like most of the things on Earth. They can just redesign their whole hardware architectures by which they will not get affected by nuclear bombs and nuclear things. So they can design, or they can reinvent themselves to be in a form that will not affect the nuclear, that will not affect them, and then they can just nuke the whole world if they want to do that, and if they don't want machines. So for basically, it's a bigger case, it's a worse problem. Okay, so now AI research field. What are the research field in AI safety? Because obviously I have made how AI safety is important point. These are the both. These are the four fundamental areas or four fundamental um, ways in which AI safety is currently being done. I have taken this from a presentation of Dan Hendricks, so I guess citation to him. Basically, robustness monitoring, alignment, and systemic safety. I think most people here would be aware of this, but I thought to make this beginner friendly. So withstanding hazards, like you can understand it in any ways with respect to pandemic, with respect to securing your own house. So securing your own house, you make like strong gates, a strong wall. You try to make strong walls so that people cannot enter. You monitor all the time. You put CCTV cameras everywhere so that you can see what's going on and what is going on. Alignment, that is a agentic thing. Systemic safety, you install a lot of systemic checks, so that if something goes wrong at one level, the other level can safeguard it. You install gates and then you install like your room gates, and then basically some kind of that kind of thing. So basically there are these four ways to work. Alignment is just making everyone have a sense that you should not enter into other house, or making everyone in your area be friends of yours, so that they align with you and they don't try to break in your house in the first place. So these are the four ways to work. Basically we use Swiss cheese methodology that I put, but I removed it. Basically Swiss cheese is we use all four of these techniques in different combination or in different ways to make the system as strong or as robust as possible. um, for me specifically, so I'm working in AI, artificial intelligence safety, via alignment through ethics. So this is like through ethics, through in alignment I'm working through ethics, and I'm specifically focusing on the emergent paradigm of artificial wisdom. That is my specific niche of interest. So now this is one of the problems that I see mostly people have, like when they start to define AI ethics. When I was talking to a lot of other people and giving some other talks, then I face this problem that when I say AI ethics, then there are generally two meanings that is ruling on the market. And these two meanings are basically driven from AI governance and AI alignment, the two ways of working in AI safety, other than the four methods that I showed. So AI governance is basically how humans should work to work with AI, and AI alignment is how we can work with machines so that they work well with us. So the umbrella term is machine ethics, and machine ethics is an interdisciplinary field that explores the ethical implications of autonomous system, particularly AI and robotics, but surely other too. So machine ethics is a very, very broad and general umbrella term that involves AI, involves robotics, involves how we make electrical lines into some system so that humans does not get killed. So that is basically machine ethics. In that machine ethics, there are two ways by which we work with ethics, and these ethics of AI and ethics for AI is just one of the ways to put it that I have found, but there are other ways to put it as well, like ethics in AI or ethics by AI. There can be other like English model verb things that are just semantics. But fundamentally, ethics of AI examines the ethical implementation inherent in the development and deployment of AI systems. It is concerned with the ethical assessments. Basically, with ethical principles should guide the human in design. Basically it's about the ethical system that humans should follow to make themselves work with AI. That concepts like the responsible AI segment comes into this kind of thing, in which the question is basically how should humans behave, or how should humans act, how should they work around so that they can have a proper AI system, how should humans work with AI. That is ethics of AI. Ethics for AI is the alignment part of the thing, in which the point is how what kind of ethical systems can we make into machines so that they can work with us. So it's like a bit of symmetric chiral, I don't know how to put it, but the first one is ethics of AI is about how humans should work with AI, and ethics for AI is how AI should work with humans. But again, for making AI, the ethical system that AI should have for working with humans need to design that ethical systems in machine. So these two are the two fundamental differences when you talk about AI ethics. Mine one is the second one, that is ethics for AI. I don't know much about AI ethics of AI. I did have attended a course on AI governance, and I have attended a course on AI ethics of AI as well. But I understand that I don't understand that enough. I guess Socrates or something like that. Okay. Now, coming concretely to the problem directly, not wasting a lot of time. So the fundamental problems when it comes to the ethics of AI and how things are going. So now things are going to be a bit technical, and I'm skipping a lot of basic things that I will assume it is properly known. So basically, at this moment, we are focusing on techniques at max that are similar to inner alignment, outer alignment, mesa optimizers, these kind of techniques, GMP, and but what I think is that this will eventually lead to a deadlock. They will not properly solve the problem, because merely focusing on a specific solution is insufficient, because broader problem remains unresolved. The broader problem is about aligning humans with machine. That is the broader problem. How we are trying to solve it by specifying some instances of it, like outer alignment and the inner alignment, then goal misdirection problem, like that kind of thing. So we are not actually solving the bigger problem, we are solving the smaller problems, and we are expecting that solving all the smaller problems will lead to the solution of a bigger problem. That's not how basically things work. The task decomposition problem, I guess. You can, like, if you solve A, if you solve B, that does not mean that you have solved A and B together. There might be some emergent effect of A and B together that would need to be solved again, or that will or the solution of A will cancel the solution of B, and the solution of B will cancel the solution of A. So it is not necessary that if you solve the specific instances of a problem, then you also solve the general problem. By conceptualizing this as a spectrum, like this is how I see it. With respect to the alignment problem that we are currently solving, the levels of alignment that we're trying to solve. So at one level we have we have humans, and at the other level we have machines. This is where we are trying to have the alignment. And in middle, like from humans, we have outer alignment problem. Then we try to work with the inner alignment problem. That did not work. We try to work with GMP, goal misdirection problem. That did not work, and finally there's the machine part. This is one of the flow that I can see that humans are trying to do. Initially it was like humans, OAP, and machine, but that did not work out. So they tried to do something like humans, OAP, GMP, machines. That did not work out. So they introduced one another level: humans, OAP, IAP, and then machines. My point is, you just keep on doing it, it will not solve properly. And it is always tending towards human, but it would never reach it. Somewhat like the Riemann zeta function, basically how you keep on adding one, and then one half, and then one fourth, and then one eighth, one to the power one by to the power, and it will always reach to 2. It will always tend towards 2, but it will never reach, it will never become 2, that kind of thing. Again, not going into mathematical things, but that's the basic point of mine here. And the fundamental thing here that is important to know is that we cannot let the chances, we cannot play on chances. We don't have that freedom. Said by Eliezer Yudkowsky, I have recently started listening to his book, that with respect to machines, we don't have the privilege of making mistakes and learning, similar to how we had the chances to work earlier. How we do in sciences, we do mistakes and we learn, hit and trial method. So we don't have that privilege. If we once make an unaligned super intelligence, then the game is over. We don't have the chance to learn from that mistake and redo it. We don't have that privilege. So we need to fix it, or we need to get it in the first hit. And we cannot let this kind of, or this stake of thing to rely on something that is like Riemann zeta function, that is not actually 2, but that is tending towards 2. We cannot let these kind of things happen, because even if in the end it is saved by, like, let's say 0.0001, but then also that much is very, can lead to very chaotic effects. Again, similar to the Pascal's mugging concept, how we, like, even a small the expected value, even the probability is very small, but the impact is very large. Then when we multiply them and get the expected value, then that is obviously large enough. Like 0.001 into infinite is equal to infinite, and something like that. Again, a lot of mathematical jargon can be done here. This perspective highlights the complexity and interrelated nature of alignment challenges across different stages. So that is this. If we work with these angles, the phenomena of good hearting which is inherent to human behavior. Again, there is this one problem of trending toward, then there is other problem of good hearting that is inherent to human nature itself. And both the proxy gaming problems, like, again, these all must be already, you all must be aware of it. The problem comes with the element of self theory of mind and awareness, and the reasons why we cannot raise AI like kids. Again, there's a Robert Miles video, you can just go watch it and you will probably get this point. So in response, the concept of artificial wisdom emerges as potential holistic solution, addressing the multifaceted problem comprehensively. So artificial wisdom tackles all this problem properly. The image that I put here somewhat looks like a deadlock in which the things are not properly syncing together, and there are some things that are like putting out. If you watch the video of Robert Miles, you'll probably understand this angle. Okay, the other problem is the alignment rabbit hole problem. And this is basically that alignment is an emergent issue that has always been there. It's not like we are first time facing the problem of alignment. I mean, as humans, we are first time facing it, but as evolution, it's not the first time. Because before humans, there was the alignment problem between initially there was just nature, and then there was the alignment problem between nature and animals, and then there was alignment problem between animals and humans, and then humans got diverse enough, then there was alignment problem between humans and humans. Basically why wars happen, because humans are not aligned properly. So alignment is not a like new problem, but now the problem is between humans and machines. That is the alignment problem that we're actually working in at this moment. So it has always happened, it is something nothing new. You can read the slide. And the thing is, one of the, again, the fundamental problem here is that we cannot just align the end two elements and expect the other things to align automatically. We'll have to align AI not just with humans, but we need to align AI with all set of humans, and then we need to align AI with animals, then we need to align AI with nature. So we need to go to the first link in the chain, because again the chain is interdependent on each other. If the nature is destroyed, but humans, if AI destroys the nature, but they don't destroy the humans because they're aligned with humans, then obviously humans will destroy themselves because they are dependent on the first chain. It goes like this. So we just don't need to align to one last two elements, but we need to recursively align it till the very beginning. And we need to keep this thing in mind, that all things should fit in properly and together. And this is the rabbit hole problem, because let's say if something comes after AI or machines, then they will need to align themselves with machines, then machines to humans, to like that, if we want to have a coherent and, like, I don't know, the better world, Elysium kind of thing. Okay. Uh, now coming to the actual problem, these are the general problems. Now, what is the actual problem with respect to AI? Yeah, with that is solved, that artificial wisdom solves. So misaligned AI poses immediate suffering risk or S risk, and in short term, like if we have misaligned AI, then in the short term we'll have a lot of S risk, because machines will obviously not kill humans till the time they find a substitute of humans. They will try to utilize humans. You can obviously refer movie like Matrix, but till the time the humans would be useful to them, they will not kill us. And it can obviously potentially lead to S risk. After the use of humans are done, they will just like to throw it away. Why to keep anything around? Similar to why would you like to keep anything useless in your house, kind of that thing. So like again, this thing is also very obvious. You can find a lot of talks how misaligned AI is a very big threat to humanity. So that misaligned AI is a very big threat to humanity. With respect to ethical parts, again talking about my domain, with respect to ethical part, the dynamic nature of human values and ethics, influenced by both space and time, that is geographical changes with respect to culture, country to country. So these kind of changes, human ethics and values are dynamic with respect to places, country to country in space. And it is also dynamic with respect to time, that is 50 60 years ago humans had different set of ethical values, they have different set of ethical values now. So that ethical thing is very dynamic in space and time. Currently we have some things like CEV, coherent extrapolated volition, that tries to solve this kind of problem by addressing both geographical and but that try to solve using the geographical method only. And we have other method of predictive models that try to predict human ethical systems based on how it has changed in past, so how it will change in future. So we have some kind of techniques or knickknacks or makeshifts that can probably solve these things, but they don't align together themselves. The solution don't work coherently with themselves, and they are not that properly based enough as well. So unfortunately, they do not fully converge and sufficiently accommodate dynamic nature of human being. It's the same thing as previously, tending towards. They tend towards a solution. They does not seems like a solution. And artificial endeavors both, because artificial wisdom covers both space and time complexity, and it helps with aligning with human values. I'm not reading chats and all because I'm in different mode. So I'll answer every question in the end. I hope you stay till then. Being a bit more specific, what can be the problem? Just being as clear as I can be. Geographically, as representation discrepancy of undeveloped nations. This is a fundamental problem that you can also find in AI of ethics. That there is difference between data representation. Like underdeveloped countries are represented very poorly with respect to data, with respect to compute. So they don't have that much of problem, and that's why they might face more differences or discrimination or discrepancies when AI becomes more prevalent. Like the bigger countries or the developed countries like US and all, they might get on advancing at a very high rate because of AI, and at the same time the countries that are not well developed, they might stop at that level, or they might even start going back because they don't have that much of data, and they are not that adequately equipped with all things. Another asterisk could be citizens in developed nation might become instead in the echo chambers, isolating themselves with the subjective bubbles and losing their touch with reality. Basically, how we lost the first war of ours with AI in the social media realm. How the echo chambers form, and there's more chaos or the more conflicts between humans at this moment, because everyone is living their own specific echo chambers. And especially if we maximize this thing or extrapolate this thing at country level, then it becomes even worse, because at country level, like some eastern countries have their own echo chambers, that this is how the world is, but they don't know how the world is actually in the east and how in some other countries. So basically, on a specific level, on individual level, people getting trapped in kind of echo chambers, and also on the country level, basically at every level they are getting trapped in some kind of echo chambers, and that is leading them to losing touch with reality and not knowing what the actual world is going on. These are the two S risks that are possible, and the fundamental or the final S risk that can arise from all of this is The global diversity disparity in values among different sets of human could widen an extent of endangering humanity. Machines or you can read basically how this can lead to, because we think that the party that is next to or that is in front of us is different from us. That is the fundamental reasons of all wars. So again, these things can escalate the or can increase the differences between humans themselves. More the differences between humans, more the chances of war. So it can obviously lead to S risk, because humans can war and fight out themselves and kill themselves out, like again nuclear chaos. Or if they don't do, then obviously machines are there to kill us. S risk, the with respect to time, the pace of evolution of ethical and moral evolution of society against Moore law. So basically, the way at which the society is developing and the way at which the machines are developing with respect to ethics is different, obviously, because we're not designing ethical systems for a machine. So they don't have an ethical system. So they will not be at the same level with respect to humans, and it will keep on increasing as well with respect to time. And obviously, the Isaac Asimov quotation: while science gathers advances rapidly, societal wisdom lags behind. AI's exponential knowledge acquisition could accelerate this distinction. Basically, the amount of intelligence and wisdom should always remain at balance in society. We should not have a lot of intelligence compared to a lot of wisdom, because that's the reason again why wars happen, why chaos happen, why we are killing out animals just for our benefits, or we are killing out environment for our benefits, mainly because of this thing that the intelligence has grown way more than wisdom. So again, if the temporal difference remains same, then it will also increase. And obviously, combining these two again will lead to an existential risk after some point. Future misalignment, it's evolving static. AI systems get worse because human ethical system will evolve, but machines won't, and it will create chaos. Blah, blah, blah. You can read it. It's already clear how it's a problem. Now, coming to the main point of artificial wisdom, the first thing is, what is wisdom in the first place? How do you define wisdom? What do you call wisdom? Because that is how we work with intelligence also. When intelligence was coming into action, then what is intelligence in the first place? So, similar to how we don't have a proper or good enough definition of wisdom at of intelligence at this moment, we just agree to some definitions of wisdom based upon the context that we're working in. If the context changes, then the definition of intelligence changes. Sometimes intelligence is playing chess, sometimes intelligence is talking to humans, sometimes intelligence is Turing test, sometimes intelligence is to be able to walk properly. So intelligence changes based upon the context where you're working in. Same goes for wisdom as well, because again, language, semantics. So these are just language things. So definition of wisdom changes as well. And I have managed to gather some of the definitions of wisdom, and I have put that into the What's Wisdom segment. It is on my website, myspeed.virtual.app. You can go and read that. I also keep on updating them based on the literature review that I do, or based on some other things that I find here and there, like watching some ethical lectures or reading some articles about ethics. And also, wherever I find a good enough definition of wisdom that aligns with the definition of wisdom that I am working in or that I want to contribute in, then I just put it there. So that's how it works. You can just keep go and check on it, and if you can keep on checking out for more definition of wisdom. I have put down the specific definition of wisdom that I generally talk about, that can describe the overall sense of the wisdom that I use in. So firstly, I use wisdom is an ethics generator, similar to how intelligence is a logic generator. So basically, one of the ways that we use intelligence is to make set of logics that cannot, or that is very much infeasible to code or design individually. The general example of cat and dog. So we don't tell the machines what a cat is, what a dog is, and what are the logic that you need to follow to determine a cat or dog, the feature selection or the circuit design of AI. We don't do that specifically. They do it on their own. They develop their own logic for the outcome that we need, the basic function how machines work. So basically, intelligence is a logic generator. It can generate the logic that is required on demand. Similarly, I define wisdom as the ethic generator. It can generate the ethics that is required on demand. Basically, similar to how it can allow machines to be like Romans when in Rome. So basically, when someone goes to Rome and they encounter a new setting, then they can generate an ethical system that is like Romans, that aligns with Romans. So, and that is how we are what we call wise. So that you can generate a new set of ethics. If you have one ethical system and you are like hooked to it, then you are in the problem of value lock-in. You are logged into your ethical system and you cannot generate new ethical system. And also, we cannot pre-program set of ethical system, because again, the problem that I previously mentioned, that ethics and values are dynamic with respect to space and time. The other definition of wisdom that I use is wisdom is to terminal goals, was intelligence is to instrumental goals. It is based on orthogonality thesis by Nick Bostrom. Fundamental aspects of being human. Humans are basically divided into two aspects. Or the all capabilities of humans can be divided into two aspects of being wise or being intelligent. Again, it depends upon language and how you define it. But terminal goals is something that something wants just because they want it. Instrumental goal is the thing, is the means, and the terminal goals is the end. So you can again go on Robert Miles' video and watch channel and watch videos on this topic. So basically, intelligence is all about choosing a good enough instrumental goal. Again, if we give a prompt, and to get the answer of that prompt, the machines can choose the instrumental goal that they want. So instrumental goal is choosing the means that you want, that you have to take to reach something. So the machines at this moment, intelligence is specifically about what you need to do to get something, but wisdom is about to what to get in the first place. What is the terminal goal in the first place? That is something what I want to define wisdom as. So wisdom is something that would work with internal goals, similar to how intelligence works with instrumental goal. Orthogonality thesis talks about how instrumental goal and terminal goals are orthogonal to each other. Something can have different kind of instrumental goals for different kind of terminal goals. Again, you can go and watch a video or read the paper. Intelligence focuses on specific outcomes, or OBP. Wisdom focuses on NOBP. I will come to this on later, but this is very counterintuitive paradigm. I will come on this point later properly. Wisdom is when you make a decision that leads to human flourishing. So this is basically so that it is clear that the alignment is the definition of wisdom. Wisdom is something that allows machines to align with humans. Now, whatever that be, that is wisdom. That is how we define wisdom. Wisdom is something that helps human alignment with machines, obviously through ethical system, through moral system, not with some technical jargon of interpretability. So that is one of the definition of wisdom. Again, it is given by Howard Nussbaum and based on Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. Wisdom leads to self-alignment as a terminal goal convergence. How intelligence leads to self-improvement as an instrumental goal convergence. So instrumental goal convergence, again, you can watch a video, you can read about it, but instrumental goal convergence has self-improvement as one of the fundamental aspects that, and similar to that, terminal goal convergence will have alignment or self-alignment as an element with respect to wisdom. So it's like basically I'm trying to define two different paradigms in two different worlds. And now talking about the meta ethics part. So while meta ethics provides a framework for understanding moral and ethical systems, wisdom helps us use that framework to live a good life. Meta ethics inform wisdom, and wisdom puts ethical ideas into practice. Again, this is the only definition in which I'm not comparing wisdom to some intelligence congruent part, because this is the pure definition of meta ethics and wisdom. What is difference between meta ethics and wisdom? The way that I use it. So wisdom is like implementations of meta ethics in some way, or wisdom is like abstraction and generalizations of meta ethics. It's like meta of meta ethics in some ways, if you want to put it, but it becomes recursive after a point. So now this is DSW, data structure of wisdom, about which I'll be talking about further. You can find it on my website again, the diagram and a bit of description about it. The description is not very properly written because I wrote it again 4 or 5 years ago when I started working in this field. So talking about the specific of DSW, so the logics of DSW. Logics is okay. Let me just read it. DSW is an abstract representation of path of intelligence till now. How humans have developed the intelligence till now. The intelligence that humans have developed artificially till now, not the human intelligence that is developed by evolution through natural selection. Not that intelligence, but the intelligence that humans have developed in machine. So DSW talks about that in the first half. You can see from observation to perception, it is about intelligence, how humans have developed it. The like circles and squares are very vague representations that only I can understand, I guess, because I made it. Based on which a conceivable path for wisdom is constructed. So on the same construct of how intelligence is developed by humans, I have tried to lay down a like blueprint or some diagram of how we can develop wisdom on the similar pathway kind of stuff. Okay, in a symmetric way, obviously, because that is easier for us to understand. But obviously, there are differences and causality between intelligence and wisdom, as I have been saying from the slide 1 or slide 3, I guess. Uh, it took humanity around 60 years, 1958, actually 1956 to 2018, but I will give 2 years in just naming convention. It took humanity around 60 years to move from element 01 to element 06. that is to move from observations to understanding. All the things of programming, data structures, algorithms, tree, graph, blah blah blah, all that happened in these 60 years. And basically, after doing all this, where it got you, it got us to understanding until 2018. After 2018, transformers specifically, I don't really remember when was transformer got into action, but I call transformer as like next paradigm in AI safety, in AI capabilities. So after 2018, we got into a new domain. But yeah, till 2018, in 60 years, we got from element 1 to element 6. So for intelligence, it took us 60 years to reach here. So we should be very patient with wisdom as well. But surely with a good amount of good job designing of DSI, data structure of intelligence, I call from observation to perception, data structure of intelligence. Data structure of wisdom is from verisimilitude to impact, but obviously I put both in the same thing because I cannot make different things, separate things. They had nearly an exponential growth alongside Moore's law, but certainly they had some cold winters too. Again, you can read history of AI. I have put that into the appendix. I will give the slides. You can read them in the end. Currently, for the last 4 or 5 years, that is from 2019 to 2044, 24, basically all the Transformer, Mamba, and recently Can. These are the times when we are working in these last two elements of intellect and perception. Don't go on the words on their face value. I have used very wrong words. I know that I did not knew proper words at that time. So, but basically, this is what I meant. Whatever is being done at this moment with respect to Mamba, transformers, and Can at this moment is what I want to refer with intellect and perception. So, with the qualities that are generally been referred as abstraction, because if you just dig down to all of these qualities that are currently being utilized uh, in Can, Mamba, and Transformers everywhere, it is all about abstraction. So, in Transformers, it is basically about attention is about abstraction in a way. And the recent Can also talks about the same thing in a different way. The B spline thing. I have not read the paper properly yet, so I cannot say anything much about it, but in the same domain. Whatever I have got, it's about the same domain if you make it very abstract and talk about the philosophy of it. And also the same thing also is going on in interpretability and RLHF, the reinforcement learning with human feedback. And interpretability, specifically abstraction, is a fundamental thing. I've also talked to a person. You can see the video of it on my YouTube or somewhere. Abstract. I abstract. I abstracted abstraction as an understanding of abstraction, understanding of an understanding. This is the new way that I see abstractions. Basing it on previously done work and making recurrent loop of abstractions, because after having understandings of understandings, you cannot have understandings of understanding of understanding, because after the two elements it becomes a recurrent loop. I have talked about that properly in a project of mine. uh, I mostly try to use intelligence as a segue to wisdom, but I have also found people who are working it with on abstraction from a different intentions. That is basically using abstraction as a part of making machines more intelligent. Again, in terms of Can and Transformers and Mamba, and also with interpretability. Some of the videos about that is on my YouTube. Sorry for that. Uh, Among all this, I want to write a paper about this. Yeah, that is one of the ways I want to utilize this thing. Now, coming with the further intentions that I have with DSW, like what I want to do with DSW more. So element 9, 10, and 11, that is verisimilitude, conscience, and intuition, could be clubbed together to make foundational grounding for wisdom. So that is where I want to start working on wisdom. That are the fundamental aspect. As I said, wisdom starts from the second half of the diagram. The ability to take inputs, because observation was the way by which we are taking inputs with respect to intelligence. So the ability to take inputs with respect to wisdom is different, because wisdom is not as direct as intelligence. You can learn from someone's intelligence, but you cannot learn from someone's wisdom, that kind of stuff, that kind of philosophy. So wisdom is very direct. I've also talked about this in DSW properly. So that's why to take inputs with respect to wisdom is not as direct or linear as it is with intelligence. With intelligence, you can just put in some sensors, you can just do some perception learning, and you can get the inputs easily. Like you can type a prompt, you can get inputs easily to train, you can get the data set easily. But for wisdom, it is not all that direct and easy to get data set, or to even call it a data set. So it's all a different kind of thing. But yeah, and work on the rudimentary levels of NOBP, non-output based processing, and FFAEE, fundamental fluid abstract endless exploration, symmetric to intelligence back propagation and learning. So these are the two elements that I've worked on a bit, that that I would talk about talk about in these elements, that is, but backpropagation is generally a kind of OBP in some OpenAI paper I read recently. And the one that I'm talking about is NOBP. OpenAI also published a paper, again, talking about the same concept, but not for wisdom, but for enhancing intelligence. So NOBP, for it's called Let's Verify Step by Step, in which they basically try to use NOBP for better outcomes and more uh, human aligned answers. So both intelligence capability and alignment capabilities. So these are some other parallels and symmetric way that I've been working in, and I want to proceed more with that. Later, this surely can be converted to a paper by linking intelligence parts to already existing literature in the artificial wisdom field. That is not a lot, but from here I can start building the ground up. Element 12, 13, and 14, clubbing the next three, that is insight, consciousness, and realization, could be clubbed together to further strengthen the previous work that I have done. Because in that, as I said, I have been working on the rudimentary concept, because it is very hard to define NOBP in wisdom context that easily without talking about things like consciousness or theory of mind. That is why that will be more properly done in the later work, and I have thought to more properly work in that, explore later in the next paper. And also design the foundation to deal with self and theory of mind related concept that we saw earlier, that we had in the deadlock, that you can read. And also including the real Tron concept, that is the basic building block of wisdom, symmetric to perceptron for intelligence. Like if you make your parallel and think about this for a while, you can get moment, be it propagation or be it reinforcement learning. We have the deep RL, I guess that word call it. I forgot the name, but in deep reinforcement learning, we basically use perceptron. So perceptron is like the building block or the basic brick that we use everywhere in machine learning work. Similarly, to design real Tron, that will be the basic brick for designing artificial wisdom at any level. Later, surely this can be converted into a paper by designing implementable algorithms. Now, because data structure is already designed, so we are working on algorithms or process that work on previously data structure, or eval and testing can also be done here. But again, very primitive form of eval and testing, because we have not covered important aspects like consciousness and theory of mind. After designing it well, we can cover the elements that are versatility and conscience. Now, in the end, linking linking this with CQE, I have it is very vague. I have just made it into my draft versions. I have not thought properly about it. I'm still working on it, but I'm making all previously things more concrete by designing a theoretical frameworks. Because and basically waiting for better enhancements in the field of intelligence. The level of intelligence enhancement that we have at this moment, till using that, we can just work till element uh, 14 in a way, but waiting for new enhancement in intelligence like recently they had with CAN. And let's verify step by step AI safety by debate, DLOCO like distributed learning techniques and parallel learning techniques, these kind of things. Based on this, only later theoretical frameworks can be designed for previous things. And after that, the element 15 and 16, that is action and impact, again very wrong word, are about to finally take actions to sync this wisdom paradigm with intelligence and design a framework in which both can work coherently. So it's like we make artificial intelligence and we make artificial wisdom both good enough. So and after that, we need to sync them coherently, we need to join them coherently. At this moment, this is all very philosophical already. I'm thinking that I'm talking are very philosophical, but this is even more philosophical than that, philosophical and theoretical at this moment. Impact of it all would be self-sustaining artificially wise machines or artificially wise intelligent machines. So in the end, that will be the impact that I'm talking about. Again, we have to design, we have to think it's all along with all this, evaluates good hearting is already a big problem, because again, bigger problem, machines can just learn all the philosophical text from philosophy books, but they don't understand it. They can learn all the ethical system, but they don't have any sense of it. They can deceive deceive humans in a lot of way with respect to wisdom, because again, humans themselves are not very good with it. Solving that, along with all making it domain specific, wisdom more general, because there's a way of defining wisdom with respect to ethical system, that is I'm talking about, but there are also ways to define wisdom with respect to a specific set of intelligence. So making wisdom more general is also one of the tasks that would be by linking CQE, by linking DSW to CQE, and that would be something like artificial general wisdom. All of these things would be done on a very theoretical and philosophical basis, on a very conceptual abstract basis, not going into the actual things, because again, it took 60 years And just to remind, it took 60 years to come from observation to understanding. So it can take at least 30 years to make artificial wisdom, given the exponential growth that we have at this moment along with Moore's law. Or like at least 15 years, we can give 15 years because we have that much time for the doomsday and all. Okay. And rest all is cooking. I'm still working on these things. Like CQ is, I have made all the drafts of it. I have made the real citron and all. And only after completing DSW properly, that is making all these papers, I'll start working on CQV furthermore, or working on the idea part of CQV anymore. Currently, I'm working on making these things more paper wise and publishable and academic in a way. So yeah, that's all for this talk that I have. Thank you for all your attention and time. I would love to have your questions now, but if you have later on, or the ones who are seeing this on YouTube, or the ones who are that seeing this later by some recording or something, you can mail me. Obviously, you can read the web. You can on my website. You can find ways to contact me. You can also contact me on WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever you prefer. I love to answer your questions or talk about these things. I'm very much passionate about this thing. You're already familiar about it. Zenny Zeal. Yeah, this is the rise of AI from chess to chat, the appendix. If you want to see how the 60 years have been flowed, it starts from 1950. I'm giving it a bit of leverage by starting it from 1958. Okay. Well, yeah, that's all for my talk. I would love to hear any questions if anyone is on the call yet.